Welcome to today's session. We welcome you all. Hope you all are safe, and I hope you're all looking forward to today's very interesting topic. Our speaker for today is Her Grace Dipapriya Vrajeshwari DD. She is a senior software engineer in Bank of America, and she's been part of Iys for many years. And she's a very gentle, warm, friendly, and a very lovely person with deep devotion and love for Krishna that she would like to give to one and all, because it's something that she firmly believes that it will help all. She's very compassionate, very humble, and an excellent speaker. So I am very sure that you will all enjoy today's session. To speak about Iys is a youth forum that is started around 12 years ago. We started this society to inspire girls to take up spirituality, to form a society where like-minded girls can come about and freely and open heartedly take up spirituality and become friends with like minded people in our country. This is not just for Chennai. We have girls who are part of IYS all over India and the world. So, in your group chat, you will see a link to join our WhatsApp group in case you haven't. We have This is a part of our weekly series where we conduct interactive seminars tackling topics which are some of the issues which contemporary young women face. So this is again one of the most requested topic about overcoming anxiety, overcoming fears. So that is why we picked the topic today. Please do fill up the feedback form, because we are listening to your suggestions and that's how we are picking the topics. So the feedback form will be in the chat window around towards the end of the session. So please fill the feedback form. You can reach out to us personally if you have any issues that you want to talk to, anything that you want to, any doubts, any spiritual doubts that you would like to ask. Again, in the chat window, you will get us details where you can approach to us directly. So yeah, if you haven't joined the WhatsApp group, please do join. And over to you, Deepapriya.
Thank you so much, Ekaleshwari Mataji, for this warm welcome. And first of all, my gratitude and my thanks to the entire IYS group and to Sukirti Mataji, who have given me this opportunity to speak here and to serve you all. So let's start. Before we start, I would like to uh, take and invoke the blessings of my spiritual masters and of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. So, so here today's topic is conquer fear. So, first of all, I would like to ask all of you, is there anyone here? I think now here are 29 participants are there. Is there anyone here who has never feared anything in their life, not even a cockroach or a lizard? So, is there anyone? Can they raise their hand? If anyone is here who has never feared. So I see no hands here. No Mataji. Okay, so Raji has never feared in her life. Priya has no fear in her life. Is it that no meaning that? No means like you don't have any fear or you have fear? Okay. Okay. So you can just raise your hand if you do not have any fear. I have fear. Okay. Okay, fine. Fine then. Okay, yes. So today this is the right place then, and so we will know that what is fear, how can we overcome fear. But before that, I have some questions for you. There is a poll that will be launched by the moderator. So you need to see, like I need some inputs from your side so that I can understand that exactly, what kind of fear are you facing. It will help me in serving you better. So here are some questions. Can you please fill this poll? Okay. No one is having injection means when you go to a doctor and they give you this injection. I used to have a great fear of this injection, and as usual, darkness. Okay. Yeah, come on. You can all please fill this poll. We're still waiting for you. Done. Thank you, Priya. Okay. 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 23 of 30 have, you know, filled the poll. So I would request others also to fill it so that we know. I think few of you are joining in and you will see a poll on your screen. So kindly fill this. Okay. Great. Okay. Okay. So here we see that which is the highest losing people in life is the first highest fear that I could see in the screen is what you have insecurity or fear in your life losing people, and second is handling commitments in life. Okay. So I think all of you can see the result. I think we can share the result to them. Yeah, they can just see. So this is what you have all, chosen. Like most of you have fear of losing people in life, and second is handling commitments in life and getting rejected by people is the third. So first, second, third, the insecurities. Okay. So let's see that how we can handle this fears. So none of the above are 4%. I don't know who has no fear. I would like to definitely speak to them. The most of us we have some or other kind of fear. Okay, so let's begin. Yeah. So it's not because of fear we avoid things, but because we avoid things, it becomes our fear. That which you do not face, it starts controlling you, and that what controls you, it causes great fear inside you. So most of us we avoid things, and that is why it becomes the greatest fear within us. So here today, before we start, so I'm going to speak about a story, and this is the story which exactly will depict that what we are going to listen in another 40 or 45 minutes, whatever we have. This story is going to help you in understanding what kind of fear you are going through, actually who are you. It will help you to understand, and it will help you in working with your fears. So here it starts with a story that there was a girl, um, who was having so many problems in her life. Like one problem would lead to another problem, and see, she was so disturbed. Like most of us will be thinking, like, why so many problems at a time in my life? Like I have one problem, I haven't come out of another problem, one problem, and the another problem comes out. Sometimes marriage, commitments, job, everything comes together, and we don't know, we lose focus and we completely break down. So similarly, this girl had the same kind of situation. So she goes near her father, and she starts explaining that I'm having this kind of issues. So her father was a chef. So he decided that I should teach a lesson to my daughter in the way in which I am comfortable. So what he did is that he took three vessels, and in the three vessels he put this water, and he started boiling it, and in that three vessels he had put this three things. Okay, he had put this three things you can see on the screen. One is the potato, second is an egg, and third is the coffee beans. So what happened, he started boiling, and this girl is keep on saying, I have this problem, that problem, and her father is completely engaged in just boiling this all these things. And after it is done, he brings these things on the plate and he keeps on the table. So what are the three things he brings? The first is the potato, second is the this egg, and third is the coffee. Now the coffee has been brewed, and he had nicely designed, and he brings in front of her. And then he gently asks her, what do you observe, what did you observe from this? She says, it's just a potato. She says, it's just an egg, and here is a nice coffee that you made for me. And then he says that, see, all these three things were put in the same kind of situation, but see how they reacted. The first thing, what happens is that this potato represents the first kind of people who are very hard in the beginning. Like potato is very hard in the beginning, but when it is put into problem, it becomes very soft. So those people who are very hard in the beginning, they think that they can handle everything, but when they are put into a problem, they become completely shattered. They become insane. They want to flew away from the problem, and they start crying, and sometimes suicidal thoughts come to them. So this is the first category of the people who always want to fly away from their from their fears, and they're very soft hearted, and they're very fragile. Second kind of the people are like this egg. First it was very soft. When it is put into a problem, they become very hard. Those kind of people are very strong minded. They're very hard minded, and they can handle any kind of fear. Actually, problems make them more powerful. But the thing is that in this process of this transformation, they become so hard hearted that they become insensitive, and the people around them, they get hurted. They do not care for any relationships, any people. This depicts the second kind of people. Third kind of people are those who we actually look forward. Those people, like this coffee beans, they enter into the problem, and they completely change the essence of the problem. So we look forward for actually associating with those people, or becoming that kind of people who handle that problem and completely change this problem. So here today, I have taken the case study of three people, three the similar kind of people. What we speak about is exactly the mindset of this three kind of people. So here I have taken a case study from Ramayana. Okay, so the from Ramayana, there are three characters. I'll be speaking about them if you do not know. So it's okay, fine. The first is Sugriva, second is Vali, and third is Hanuman. So all these three kind of people are the monkeys that I'm going to speak about. Like they're the wonder monkeys. They are neither human beings, neither monkeys completely. So they're in between. They are the Vanaras. So we call them as the wonder monkeys in English, because the best word we can get is in the wonder monkeys. They because they're neither humans, neither monkeys. So we will see about them, their stories, that how they handle the fear in their life, and we will learn from their example. We learn the strengths that they had and the weaknesses that they had, what we should not do, and how to practically handle the fear. So, the first category of the people is that of the Sugriva. So, what happens is that now I would like your attention to go into Ramayana and in the forest called Kishkinda. So, here Rama was actually banished from his kingdom, like he was exiled from his kingdom for 14 years, and he went with his wife and brother Lakshmana to Lakshmana to this forest, and there Sita was actually kidnapped, and when Sita was kidnapped, then Ram and Lakshmana, they were searching for Sita, and that's how they come to this forest called as Kishkinda. So in this Kishkinda, there is a mountain which is called as Rishimukha mountain. So in that mountain, there are four monkeys, that is Sugriva, Nila, Nala, and Taru. So Sugriva is the chief of who is actually the chief among the four, and these other three monkeys are actually guarding the Rishimukha mountain. So what happens is that in that when the monkeys were guarding, they could see from no, keep it, let's okay. I'll change it now. Yeah. So this three monkeys, they were actually guarding the mountain, and from the far they could see that there were two big very handsome and very tall personalities who are there. They're very strong, and they are there, so they could see that, and without even understanding that who they are completely strangers. So they started panicking if there is some trouble, and they started running, and they came in front of Sugriva. Now Sugriva's body language, I want to say you something. He was just having these two hands. You can see me, right? You can see me for some time. So here he was having these two hands here on his face, and he was completely looking down. So his body language was so fearful. He was looking down. And just by hearing there is some trouble, he did not know, he did not ask his chief, he did not ask his associates that what happened, who has come, no question. He just said, I am dead. I am dead. Now, this is actually fear. This is actually fear. This is false evidence accepted real. Now, Sugriva could not actually physically see the problem. Until now, he does not know what is the problem. But still, he does not know anything, but still he's thinking that he is in trouble. So most of the time, we are focusing on imaginary problems. Those problems haven't yet occurred in our life. But just by thinking that it might happen, that might happen, we start getting fear. For example, you're not yet married, but still you think that after marriage, my husband will not, behave with me properly. Same mother-in-law issues I'll be having. What my friends are having, the same kind of situation I'm going to go through. And that is why we think that, okay, better not to get married. Same with handling commitments of the life, which you have given one of the highest graded fear that we have. Oh no, I think my friend has lost in his her relationship, so definitely I am not going into go into that. So we have so many of imaginary, we have problems, and because of which it causes a lot of fear. So that is why the false fear means like false evidence accepted real. Now what Sugriva does is that he is now fearful. Now let's hear that what exactly caused him so much of fear. What was he fearing from? So what happened actually in this Kishkinda mountain, there are these two monkeys, this Vali and this Sugriva. They both were actually the prince of this Kishkinda mountain. They were ruling. They were the sons of the two demigods. Vali was the son of Indra, and Sugriva was the son of sun demigod. So they both were the sons of these two demigods, and they were ruling. And so one day what happened, there was a demon called as the Mayavi demon, and that demon, he attacked this Kishkinda, and Vali and Sugriva, they were chasing. And when they were chasing, they suddenly came across a burrow in which the Mayavi, this demon, suddenly disappeared inside the burrow. So Vali said that better Sugriva, you stay out, because Vali was the elder one. He said that I will go and kill the demon, and you be here outside and you protect here. So when he went, he gave instruction like this, that I'll definitely come back, but if you think that something has happened to me, how will you know that whether I'm alive or not? See, if the white blood comes out of that particular burrow, that means the demon has died and I am there. And if the red blood comes out of that burrow, that means I am dead. So you can go back and you can rule the Kishkinda. So that's what the instruction he gives, and then he goes inside that burrow. And when he goes inside the burrow, it's been 1 day, 2 day, like that. It's 1 year, and this Bali, he does not come out. So what happens? In the meantime, so after an year, suddenly Sugriva sees that some sudden rush of like a shower, some white blood comes out. And then within some movement, the blood changes to red. And now there is a mixture of both white and red blood. And he hears that there is some screaming, and the screaming first he hears about is Vali screaming. And after some time, there were so many demons that started screaming. There was no one Mayavi demon was not, there were many demons. He could hear them, and he could no more hear Vali's voice anymore. So he thought that Vali is dead, and he goes into Kishkinda. And he was very feeling very bad that his brother has died. So but he goes into Kishkinda, And after he goes into Kishkinda, he becomes the king in Kishkinda and he starts ruling. But after that, what happens, that Vali suddenly comes out. And after Vali has come out, like he comes and he sees that Sugriva has become the king, and without even understanding that, without even asking him what happened, he start accusing Sugriva that he has done wrong to him by suddenly he by because when he fled away from that burrow, he had put a big stone on that burrow so that no one can come out of that burrow. So what happened is that, since he was in such a disturbed state, that why my brother did like that, he started thrashing Sugriva, and then he thrashed even those ministers also who made Sugriva the king, and then he fled away. Then now Sugriva, out of the fear of his life, he fled away from that place, and the only place he could go is that of the Rishimukha mountain, because that place was the only place where Sugriva was secured, because Vali was given a curse by Matanga Rishi that if he lands in that Rishimukha mountain, then he would be killed, because once Vali had killed a demon called as Dundubi, whose dead body he had threw in that in that Rishimukha mountain, where there was a sacrificial arena of Matanga Rishi. So when Matanga Rishi's sacrificial arena was destroyed, he gave a curse to this this valley, that he cannot enter this mountain. If he enters this mountain, then he would be dead. So now Sugriva was sitting there, and he was actually thinking that one day Vali will come and kill him, though he knew that he cannot enter. So Vali, what he used to do, he used to send his associates to kill Sugriva. He used to send his associates, and that's how Sugriva became very fearful. Arey, this person came, that person came, somebody will come and kill me. So when he saw this Ram and Lakshman coming, he thought that even though they were not the ones who Vali had sent, but still he thought that, you know, these two people have come to actually kill him. So that is the nature of the fear. It completely takes over your mental your mind state. So generally here, if you see, there are two kinds of the fear that we are going to talk about. One kind of the fear we are going to talk about, but I would like to introduce here, there are two kinds of the fears. What are those? First is an healthy fear. What is this healthy fear? It inspires you to prepare yourself, it protects you actually. But an unhealthy fear is something which takes over your mind, which causes lot of anxiety in your head, that how will I tackle the situation, what will be the consequences that I have to face. And that makes you very very in a very moroseful situation. So that is an unhealthy fear. So today we are going to speak about the unhealthy fear, not the healthy fear. Because healthy fear, the example you can see that, when we are crossing the road, when the traffic signal is there, so we this traffic signal helps us in us to cross the road so that the accident does not happen, right? But the unhealthy fear is something wherein we imagine something, or either we are going through so much of distress, anxiety in our heart, which makes us very fearful situation, which makes the entire environment very bad. So that is an unhealthy fear. So we are going to speak about this unhealthy fear. Okay, and this is what we'll be speaking. So what causes fear? So these are some of the things that we have found out from the scriptures that we're presenting today. First is that of the wrong perception of life. Second is egoism. Third, attachment, aversion, and fourth, and the fifth one is your dishonesty. So first, wrong perception of life. So most of the time, what happens is that fear, when perceived wrongly, it causes us a lot of pain. Because sometimes, now this Sugriva, actually when he was seeing Ram and Lakshman, they were not the cause of their they were he was Ram and Lakshman, they were not going to do anything to Sugriva. Actually, Ram and Lakshman are the solution to his problem. His problem was that his Vali was going to kill him, or he was very fearful of Vali. But now here, Ram and Lakshman, Ram was going to kill Vali. Like in future, like what happens is that Ram and Lakshman, they meet Sugriva via Hanuman, because Sugriva does not go to meet Ram and Lakshman. Hanuman was one of the very good servant of Sugriva and very good friend of Sugriva. So he's what Sugriva does is that he sends Hanuman to meet Ram and Lakshman. So here Ram, after meeting Sugriva, he gets into friendship with Sugriva, because Sugriva promises that, I have a army which can help you in finding Sita, but this army is not with me anymore. It has been taken over by Vali, and Vali is such an cruel king. And he starts explaining about Vali, that who was Vali actually. And then Rama thinks that okay, he was not doing anything according to dharma, because what Vali had done is he had kidnapped um, Sugriva's wife, and he had kept with her, and he was enjoying with her. So it was a very wrong thing according to dharma. So then Rama, what he did is that he helped Sugriva, and he had killed Vali actually. So that's how they were very good friends. He became very good friend. But in the start, what he was seeing is that he was having a wrong conception of life. He was having he perceived, this he perceived wrongly that, Ram and Lakshman are the problem. So sometimes what happens when we perceive things wrong in our life, that causes fear. So most of the time we perceive a problem very wrongly, and that causes fear. Second is that egoism. Egoism means that we have an image of ourselves, and we are stuck on to that image. Now if you see, most of us, some of us, I know, I have heard, like few girls, they see that I cannot say to my colleagues that I am a vegetarian. I feel that if they would, part me, like they would not accept me. Like some of you have that fear, right? A fear of rejection. So that thing comes when you have this egoism. Some of you cannot even tell to your colleagues that I am an ISKCON devotee. You cannot tell to your relatives that I'm an ISKCON devotee, because you're not comfortable with yourself, because we all have a imaginary, we all have an our own image which we do not want to destroy, and because of which also it causes fear. Third is that actually wrong perception of life and egoism leads to attachments and aversions. So this attachment comes when we are too much attached to a relationships or to the more pleasures of our life. For example, the more we get pleasure from our spouse or from our family members, whoever, so we get more attached to that. Maybe our grandparents or someone, we get very much attached. And when there is some problem in that relationship, either we lose that relationship, or sometimes there is some problem in that relationship, that causes us so much of fear. And the fourth kind of fear is the aversion. So the fourth kind of thing which causes fear is the aversion. That is, sometimes one thing goes wrong, and we think we make a picture in our mind that definitely everything is going to be wrong in my life. For example, someone has actually, had some issues in relationship, and there was a breakup. And after that, we already make up our mind that definitely I'm not going to get into relationship. All my relationships that I'm going to get through in the future are going to fail. And thinking about that, it causes fear in our heart. Just one broken relationship in the past, and that causes so much of fear. So that is actually aversion. Some people, they have maybe some issues in their life, and they think that I will never marry. So so that is one of the reason. This is aversion which causes fear. So the finally, dishonesty. When we hide things from people, that also causes fear within our heart. So most importantly, there are two factors which causes fear, that is attachment and aversion, which leads to fear. So what are the lessons from which we can learn from Sugriva's life? Now Sugriva was actually fearful of something which he does not want to face, right? So he was fearful of whom? He was fearful of strangers, because everything he was thinking is that someone would come and they would, you know, they would kill him. He was actually thinking all the time that. So we learn from his story that face your fear. Otherwise, see, every moment we will die thinking that something will happen. It's better to face our fear than to hide from our fear. Second is that he had no clarity in his mind, because of which he was going through so much of pain. Right? So many problems, when perceived with clarity, results in freedom, but when perceived with freedom, perceived with clarity, it leads to freedom, but when it is not perceived with clarity, it leads to pain. But third one is the doubtful mind. Doubtful mind causes fear. So he was having so much of doubts with all his relationships. He could not trust on anyone. So most of us, we have this trust issues. We cannot trust on anyone, and because of which also it causes fear within our heart. And the fourth is that when he went to meet actually Ram and Lakshmana, he went in the form of human. He was not ready to accept himself. So remember this one thing, most of us, we feel that we have this fear, right? That to be rejected by others. This comes when we do not accept ourselves. When we do not accept ourselves, how can we expect that others would accept ourselves? Others would accept us. So accept yourselves, and then others would accept you. But in spite of everything, he had this four strengths. Sugriva had this four strength. What are the four strength? First is that he had a very nice friend and a chief whose name was Hanuman. So we all also should actually look into such kind of friend. Why? Because Hanuman was very, very strong hearted. He had clarity of the mind. He had good knowledge of scriptures. And who has good knowledge of scriptures and who himself is practicing all those things, that person can give good, I mean to say, advice to someone. So here, if you see this four strength here, this Hanuman had that. He was such a nice devotee that he could give nice advice to that of the so nice advice to that of the Sugriva, and because of which Sugriva could handle his fear. So we have, what we have in ISKCON is here a Acharya like Hanuman, who is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada also, in the age of the 60, he went to the West and he preached this knowledge. And that's how we all were saved. So we should be looking after how to associate with Prabhupada by reading his books. And the second kind of the second strength, what Sugriva had, is that simplicity. He was accepting his weaknesses. Some of us, we do not want to accept weaknesses. Simplicity is nothing but no duality. So accept Prabhupada. When you read Prabhupada's book, you accept Prabhupada's books as it is. Then the third strength what he had is he derived inspiration from others. He derived inspiration from Lakshmana and he derived inspiration from Hanuman. So that's how he could face his fear. And the fourth strength what he had is his problems made him humble. Actually, sometimes, the problems can make us humble in front of God. Otherwise, when we do not face any problems in our life, we do not submit, we do not surrender in front of Krishna, or we do not surrender in front of the Lord. And because of which our heart becomes very, lot of pride comes into our heart, and we become hard hearted like that of this Vali. Vali depicts the second kind of the person who were very proud, and in the process, when they face the problem, they could not, they become insensitive towards the problem. So here, I would like to give some pause over here, because if there is any questions, uh, then I can take up, or if not, then we can move forward. So,
Hare Krishna, Dipapriya. You
Hare,
can continue. You can
I can
continue. So
continue.
if anybody has any questions, please type in the chat window. So yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, then fine. So okay, so here we go. So the face your fear, when you face your fear, it goes. But when you avoid fear, it grows. So choice is up to you, whether you have to avoid or you have to face. The choice is up to you. So let's see, let's draw some inspiration from Hanuman. So now Ram and Lakshman, now the Vali is dead and Sugriva becomes the king. And as Sugriva had promised that, he would be helping Sita, he would be helping Ram in finding Sita. So what he does is that he goes and he sends is all his army troops in the four directions, in the east, west, north and south, like all the monkey troops in the four directions. And he gives them a ultimatum, within 30 days you have to come back with a news whether you found Sita or not. So if you do not find any one, if you do not find any, if you do not actually go and find out any one of the province properly, then when you come back, I will thrash you and I will banish you from this Kishkinda. So that was the ultimatum that was given by Sugriva to all the monkey troops. So all these monkey troops, they go in all the four direction. So from the other three directions, except for the south, they all came back and they said that they could not find Sita. They found the end. They went through the entire nook and hook and corner of this, of the east, west and north side, but they could not find Sita. But there was one direction which was left, that is this southern direction. Now this southern direction, he had sent this three important people. So who are the three important people he had sent? Hanuman, Angad, and Jambavan. So he had sent these three important people towards the southern direction. So when they went to find out for the Sita in the southern direction, they went through so many problems. The first problem they faced is that they went into an illusionary world. Somehow they went to a ditch, and that ditch led into an illusionary world where everything is illusion. There was nothing which was real over there, and that took a lot of the time, at least an, an year and month was passed away in that illusionary world itself. But Sugriva had given them the, the ultimatum that within that 1 month period they should be finding out Sita. But that 1 month itself, it was gone in that illusionary world. So when they came out, they found out that, oh my god, 1 month is already over. So the second, I mean to say that after some time, what happened? The second obstacle what they faced is that they all lost their strength. They became very, very weak from inside, and they were not ready to actually, go to this mission, go for this mission. Like almost 2 months were passed, and now few of the monkeys like Angad, they started fasting on the shore of the sea, because once they came out from the illusionary world and they landed over on the banks of the sea, of the southern ocean. So when they came outside, they were, I mean to say that they were very moroseful, they were very hungry, very tired. And because for 2 months altogether they were trying to find out Sita, but they could not find out. So Angad started fasting, and he said that if I go back, then definitely, Sugriva would thrash me and would banish me from the kingdom, and I cannot face that fear. So again, person like Sugriva is coming into picture, who when put into the problem, they want to fly away from the problem, and either they want to do suicide. So here he was planning to do suicide. And there was another kind of the monkeys who were like this Neela. So what he was saying is that better we go again into illusionary world. Why we have to die? Why you have to die in the hands of the Sugriva? Better go to the illusionary world, enjoy over there. So here we have these two categories of people. When they have problem in their life, either they think that, okay, better let me do suicide, I cannot handle the problem. Second category of the people are those, what do? They when there is a problem, what happens is that they think of finding out some temporary solution, like going to the movies. When they go to the movies, Actually, then they think that if I see a movie, I will see some imaginary, some characters, and that's how I can conquer my fear. Second, otherwise they will try for going to some intoxication, and that's how they think that the temporary solution can give them the permanent result, and they could be permanently peaceful. But actually that is completely wrong. As soon as the intoxication comes down, as soon as they come out of their imaginary world where they want to live in, they again start facing the fear of their life. So this is the second category of the people, like this Neela. So, and a third category of the people are like Hanuman, who are like this coffee beans whom I was saying about. They enter into the problem and they change the taste of the entire, the problem. So here Hanuman was saying that the entire monkey army was getting disrupted. So he stood forward and he started motivating motivating the entire monkey army with his positive words. First, he said that for the entire 2 months we were all together and we had faced so much of problem. So why should we give up hope now? What makes us to give up faith on the Lord now? Why can't we believe on the words of Lord Rama? Why can't we believe on the blessings of Lord Rama? And he said a very important statement. He said that I am sure that by remembering the Lord we can find out the solution of all our problems. Please mark this sentence. We can find out the solution of all our problems by remembering the Lord. And that was his confidence. And with that confidence, what he did, when he said all these things, all this monkey army, they rejoiced, they felt very happy. And then what Hanuman did is that he started speaking Ramayana. And when he started speaking Ramayana, he spoke about a very important character. Now that character is Jatayu. Now, this Jatayu, he was a vulture. And when Ravana was actually kidnapping Sita and he was going, this vulture had seen that Ravana is kidnapping Sita. And he was very old. Like Jatayu was very, very old and he was very weak. Because in old age, we do not have that much of strength, and so does the vultures and the birds and all. So he was not having that much of strength. But when he was seeing that Ravana is taking Sita, he wanted to serve Lord Rama in whatever capacity. He knew that he does not have that much of strength that he can, fight against Ravana, because Ravana had 10 heads, and he to kill him it was very, very difficult. But still he stood up and he fought against Ravana, and in that process he was killed. So if you see, he actually he was defeated in the battle with Ravana, but he won the battle of his life. So that is why, my dear devotees, success is not defined by whether you will succeed, whether you will get your goal or not. Success is defined by this factor: how much effort you have given to get to through that goal. Whether you have given your 100% effort or not, that is important. So that's why, therefore, my dear devotees, seek to be a person of value and not to be a person of success, because success or failure is not in our hand, but the effort that we can give is there in our heart. In our hands it is there. So when Hanuman said this, the entire monkey army, they rejoiced, because they were not able to get their strength. They were not able to understand that what they can do. But as soon as they heard the story of Jatayu, the entire monkey army, they charmed, yes, now we can go forward and we can find Sita. So they became very, very happy, and they again gained their strength. So this is what we also have to seek some lessons from this story. So, now from this story, I'm going to give you some practical tips on handling the fear. So, what are the practical tips? You can see over here FEAR. First is focus, engage, second is arise, and third is release. So, now if you see in the first, the focus. What Hanuman did is that he focused on what is the problem, and he did not lose his focus like how other monkeys, they had lose their focus. They had lose completely their focus on, what is their mission. But Hanuman was totally focused that Rama had sent him for a mission, and he did not lose the focus on the problem. Second is that he engaged he engaged the entire monkey army in listening to the pastimes of the Lord. And that is how the entire monkey army, they gained their strength. Third is the arise. When they heard to this pastime, they arose from their negativity and they became positive. And last is the release. They all released their negative emotions and they were ready again to find Sita. Similarly, my dear devotees, if you most of you have actually mentioned the commitments of their life or losing relationship of their lives, you relationships in your life. So most of you, you can handle this kind of fear if you apply this FEAR in your life. For example, if you are fearing to get committed in your life, so focus on what is the problem exactly. Are you fearing for some imaginary problem? Are you focusing, for example, if you think that um, finding a marriage is such a trouble, and what will happen if my mother-in-law is not proper, or if my husband, he leaves me and he goes away with someone, what if my husband is not proper? Thinking about this imaginary situations, we lose focus on actually that marriage, we have to marry. So that is actually we need to focus on, not on the other problems. So how, what can I do? Let me focus on the real problem instead of thinking of the imaginary problem. Second is that engage what I can do best in that situation. I can find out for a nice boy. I can have some questionnaire with me. What are my aspiration? What I want in that boy? And we can discuss so that we can engage. And second is arise. So for this arise, that is, we have to come out from our, from the negative emotions and come to the positive emotions. For this we need lot of spiritual strength. Unless and until we have spiritual strength in our life, it is very difficult to handle the fears. How we can, what is the spiritual strength that we can acquire? Like the spiritual strength comes when we involve in spiritual practices. Now we are always thinking of controlling the external situation. Now this external stability will only come when we have internal stability, and this spiritual practices gives us internal stability in our life. So what are the spiritual practices that we can be involved in? We can be involved in chanting of these holy names. Now you see, I'm talking about this monkeys. Now most of you have written in the feedback form that you want to have a session on mind control. Now see Hanumanji. Now see all these monkeys. Our mind is also like a monkey. As soon as we start chanting, we keep our mind gets flickering here and there. Our mind goes from here to there. Anything we cannot think constantly at any moment. But these monkeys, when they applied spiritual principles in their life, they could balance, they could actually compose themselves. So when the mind is actually engaged in spiritual practices or chanting of the holy names, like how Hanuman did, definitely we can also control our mind, and we can also come out of all our negativity and come to the positivity. Second is that we can read scriptures. When we read scriptures, we get clarity. Like how when Hanumanji started speaking Ramayana, all of them, they became so enthusiastic. They knew that they started getting faith on Lord Rama, and they understood their strength, and they wanted to fight, they wanted to go, and they wanted to search for Sita. So this, my dear devotees, if we want some encouragement in our lives, we have to read from the scriptures of those personalities of how they faced problem, and this gives us lot of encouragement in our heart. Third is that associate with those people, those devotees who have went through that problem. Now if you see Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, when you read it, you will be totally shocked that what all problems he went through, and it would give you a lot of strength to face your challenges. Because generally in this old age we have lot of fear. For to speak about old age, in the young age itself we start thinking, Arey, I'm losing my stamina, I'm not well, I'm not doing all right. And here is a person in the age of the 60, he goes and he gets heart attack two times, not even one time. He goes there and he inspires people to take up this spirituality. Like that, when we associate with those kind of people who have gone through the issues but they stood strong, and they are practicing spirituality, and that gives you an energy to come out of your negativity to the positivity, right? And release in the sense like when we have to focus on what is there in our control. Sometimes most of us, we think we focus on what is not our control. When we focus on what is not in our control, we totally become we lose control of everything in our life, because which is not in control, if we think about controlling that thing, most of our energy is lost. To have your focus, release your negativity by thinking what is in my control, how can I do best. And if my commitments are a problem, if I'm not ready to get married, then think that what I can do in this situation, what control I have. Especially when it comes that lot of boys come and lot of their profiles comes, I have a chance that yes, I can go through, I can talk to them. That is in my control. Whether the boy will be good or not, that is not in my control, but I can talk to him and I can understand whether that person is good or not. That is in my hand, right? But most of us, we lose control, and we want to control on whether that person is good or not, whether that person is good. Most of the time it is very doubtful, and we become fearful to handle commitments in our life. So with this, so I would like you to handle your fear with this practical tip of focus, engage, arise, and release. So with this, I would come to an end of the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. I would like to take some